Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge in the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the RBC Canadian Open. This is going to be my DFS pick show. I'm also going to be combining a lot of things I do in before the lock. So I'm going to go over ownership projections, which is a bit early, but at least it gives you some thoughts. Talk a little bit about weather. We're going to talk one and done. Going to give you my cheapies. All that is going to be within this show. So we got a lot to cover. First off and foremost, thank you for stopping by, checking me out if it's for the first time. And with that said, let's talk a little golf. All right, but first, again, I want to remind everyone that I do have the giveaway going for the US Open at the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts. And you say, what is it that you are giving away? I will be randomly selecting 5 winners to win $100 each. You'll get that PayPal over to you once I give your name and contact you through YouTube. And all you need to do is subscribe. If you are not a subscriber, tell me there in the YouTube comments below, who do you think is going to win the US Open? And also, if you would, do me the honor of clicking that like button. So let me summarize that real quick. Picking 5 winners randomly. All you need to do to get in this giveaway is subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, tell me in the YouTube comments who you think is going to win the US Open and click that like button. I would appreciate that. All right. Of course, yesterday was the longest day in golf where you had all these folks that were not qualified for the US Open trying to qualify. And I just pulled up the section, I think it was out of Ohio. I forgot which course now, but it was in Ohio where a lot of the guys that were at Memorial went over there who are also not playing in the RBC Canadian Open. A few of these guys are, but most of these guys are not. And I just pulled up these guys. It was 13 spots here that they qualified. Side note, Adam Svensson, who is in the field, just missed, I think, by a stroke for qualifying for the U.S. Open. But Lanto Griffin was your number one. He's not in the field. Davis Riley, not in the field. Danny Lee is in the field. Adam Shank's in the field. Patrick Rogers in the field. And I think Wyndham Clark is in the field. I think that's it from what I see here. For Sam Bennett, an amateur, the one thing I will say was, I think he was like 10 under. And then they had a rain delay, and he had like a half-hour break, and then came out on like a par 3 and ended up like double bogeying it or whatever. So, but that was kind of interesting. So Sam Bennett's the amateur going into this. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring those names. So some guys that are, you know, in the field still showing some good form, at least here for the U.S. Open qualifier. All right, so I'm sure everything, of course, has been talked about with the Live Golf. It has been the hot topic over the last, I don't even know, a couple months, but really is heated up over the last couple of days. And I'm going to weigh in on it, just give you some updates, and then I'm going to kind of drop this whole topic because I think this literally could just dominate, you know, my content, and it's not what I really want to focus on. But what I thought was interesting is you got Louis up here, you got DJ, and of course Graham, and there was some other folks on this panel, but they had their, I don't know, press days for the Live Golf tournament coming up here at the Century Club. I have no idea what you even call this tournament. It's in London, you know, I don't know, live.10, their first event. And here's my take on it, real quick, is that these guys that are playing in this are doing it because they really don't want to have to really work at their game. They know that they're on the end of their career, and they want extra time. And it's real simple. I mean, if someone walked up and said, hey, for play 10 events, we're going to give you a guaranteed $20 million per event. You're going to also have the opportunity to win a ton of money, huge purses. You're going to be able to win it individually. You're going to be able to win it on this team event that's also in the same tournament. And it's a no-brainer. What I think, though, is I don't understand from a business perspective how Live Golf will survive in the future. I mean, if you are giving out just multi-million-dollar contracts to really has-beens, weren't going to really do anything in the future, to untested, proven, amateurs. And then of course you've got these two yahoos who just recently came out and joined, Ricky Fowler. And then of course we already knew about Phil Mickelson. There was no way, of course, he took his $200 million payday, and I could care less. Like the Kevin Nas, of course, a lot of these guys have all resigned. They're all going to lose their sponsorship endorsements. I mean, Ricky's the one that's going to. So, you know that they had to get a huge chunk of money up front because they have to figure out, right? Like, literally what they're doing is not only are they resigning from the PGA Tour, but they're pretty much ending their golf career as far as I see it. Because Live Golf has no sponsorships or no television rights on anything. I mean, if you want to watch this, you're going to have to like watch it through YouTube or some kind of streaming capability. Now, I'm not saying at some point they don't get on some kind of, I don't even know, maybe Sky Network or maybe some European coverage, some kind of like Peacock streaming. Who knows? But I think it's hilarious. I applaud them because all these guys are just cashing in on what little bit of golf name recognition, stardom. You've got Phil who won the PGA, but really was just trash before and after that. Ricky Fowler's been trash for the last few years. Louis had his best year ever. The previous year didn't. I don't think he actually won a tournament, but was like second in everything. DJ won his Masters in 2020 and hasn't done anything since. And then Graham McDowell, it's been forever, 2010 when he won a major, has competed in some of the vacation swing events, but it's, good for them. The only one that kind of scratches my head a little bit, I said, is Taylor Gooch, who, yes, he's a little older than a Sam Burns. I think he's in his young 30s. But, I mean, the guy's got talent. He had a career coming ahead of him, had the possibility of maybe playing on the President Cup, the ability maybe to play on a Ryder. But I stated with all the talent that is come into the PGA within the last few years, a lot of these guys, and I'll even throw DJ in there. I'm not saying DJ, I know he's 15th in the world, but that was just going to keep dropping. And I mentioned DJ, and he even came out and said this, that he wants to retire. I mean, this guy wants to do other things. And that's all these guys pretty much just see a huge retirement package. Now, they're also going to lose that PGA pension. So they better, manage this chunk of money that they're going to run into. But if I, again, being a betting man that I am and doing some on the prediction side, I predict that at some point, the money people behind this, the Saudis, who, everybody in this fund, I don't see how you just keep throwing away almost billions on something that is never going to return nowhere even near that. Nowhere are they ever going to come near a break-even point or return on investment. This is, I think, just a huge waste of money that they have. I get it. They have shitloads of cash that is just, I guess, burning their pockets. And also what I don't think these Saudis are thinking about is at some point that oil money is going to dry up. If you know anything about the automotive business, every major car company is totally switched to electrification. And so at some point, the U.S. demand, now maybe China, but China will also switch to that side that it's going to start to dry up. So long story short, I'm more interested in how long this thing even lasts, who's actually ever going to pick up television rights, and who wants to watch, again, pretty much a bunch of nobody, never has been or has-beens play golf. And I'm not bitter at all. If it was me in their situation, I would, no question, I would jump at the opportunity to take 200 million, 500 million, whatever, to go play 5-10 events. And there's no cut. You play 3 days. Worst case, you're going to win money one way or the other. If you get on the right team, you're going to win money. If somehow you win the event, you're going to win money. It's almost so good to be true. That's almost what I think these guys had to go through. Like, if somebody came up to you tomorrow and said, hey, this is what you do. You flip burgers for a living. Let's just hypothetically say, well, I'm going to pay you 100 times X, and you're only going to have to do it once every month. And oh, by the way, I don't even care if you suck at it, because these guys, it doesn't matter what their performance is. So how do you pay someone this kind of money with no performance tied into it? I don't get it. Like I said, I'm a businessman myself, and I don't see how this will keep moving on in the future. At some point, somebody or some people are going to have to say, okay, yeah, we've already thrown a couple billion at this. This is going nowhere. It is going to have to be pulled, but we'll see how it all shakes out. So as far as I'm concerned, for me, that's my last little talk about Live Golf, and we'll just see how it all goes. All right, let's switch hats. And I threw that in there because I typically do some kind of updates. I didn't see any pressers out yet for the RBC, but so anyways, but let's get back to thinking about, hey, what do we want to do from a pick side, from a DFS standpoint? And so just real quick, I gave this on the preview show yesterday. Here's the stroke gain analysis rankings that I'm looking at. We already know it's going to be very tough, rough. I did look at the weather. It's going to be pretty wet. It is going to be windy. It is going to be tougher than I think what I was thinking. I was, in my mind, I was somewhere around 15 to 18 under is how this course would shake out. I still think they're going to just tear apart these par fives. But, the longer par fours, which there's, a few of them, the longer par threes, and if they're not hitting fairways, which I think a lot of these guys will club down, it's going to be pretty tough. So, with that said, I didn't make any changes. That was in my large model. Of course, when I show you guys who I'm going with, it's a smaller model, kind of condensed. Again, here was the comp courses I used. I think I'm still real happy about them. I think I had 8 in total, but with a focus on these 3 over here with Colonial, TPC Deer Run, and then you've got TPC River Highlands. But you can also throw Harbor Town in, TPC Southwind, Seaside, Wailea, and then I did pull in just one course from 2019 to Hamilton, but that's a while ago. But anyways, that's who it spit out. If you're curious, Connors, Varner, Svensson, Lowry, Scratch Hoffman, Von Taylor, Thomas, McElroy, Ryan Moore. You can kind of scratch him too. He has not played. He played one event here recently, but he's been off quite a bit. Doug Gim, Percy, Kirk, Munoz, Griot, List was the guys that spit out when I did the comp courses. And then if you want to see, again, this is at 36 rounds of golf pulled in, so 9 events. Here's a list for that. All right, let's go jump over to Fantasy National. Let's do a little bit of analysis on quite a few of these guys. I got 20 picks for you because I'm doing the top 15 plus the cheapies. And then we'll do weather, we'll do ownership projections, and then I'll jump back over, summarize this, give you one and done, and get you guys out of here. Okay, so I've jumped over into Fantasy National, and as always, a quick plug for them. If you want to do some research on your own, I'd give them a try. Do a 1-month subscription or 1-month payment. And you can also check out my how to make a custom model. I also walk through some other things, so you're not walking in blind, but it's pretty self-intuitive once you jump in here. All right, with that said, I'm going to be looking at the last 24 rounds of golf, which would be 6 events. And I've got no filters turned on over here as always. And I've already done some so whenever you guys see this, I'm kind of at the end of what I wanted to see. I did pull all those comp courses in, more so for the guys that were lower in the price, just to see how they typically can handle a more, we'll say, strategic plotter course, ones that you have to hit fairways and greens. And I've got, like you see here, 20 guys selected for you that I'm going to be going with. Of course, you can see this information and make some of your own choices. And the model that I'm using to get this kind of model rank right here is approach. Off the tee, I threw in fairways gained, and that's over 50% of the weighting. And then putting and sand saves. And then instead of birdies gained, I actually wanted to see how these guys do in the par fives, because I really feel like this is where you're going to have to make, I mean, as always on par fives is where you're going to have to make your birdies, possibly eagles. But I think even here it might even show up a little more. There's 3 of them, and they're so short that I think a lot of the scoring will be done in those. Now, of course, there's other holes on here that you could score on, some shorter par fours. There's a short par 3. I think it's like 150. But for me, that's what I wanted to see. And then, of course, you got recent results. What have they done over the past 5 tournaments? And then if I click here, you're going to see tournament history, which is pretty much which is pretty much worthless because, of course, it's not the same course, maybe not in the same setup, but we'll check it. I mean, like I said, I think Hamilton's not a terrible comp. So we'll see what they did in 2019. But again, it's also, a few years removed. So, okay, with all that said, you've got a choice right off the bat. One guy coming in at 11,000, Scotty Scheffler. Pretty much worth it, right? I mean, he came in, almost had a chance to win the Charles Schwab, went to a playoff, and did not, whatever, had a C, B- game. But you can see the one thing that kind of sticks out is he has missed some fairways. But I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to fade Scotty. I mean, it's probably a bad idea, but that's just kind of where I'm at. How I'm going to end up is it's so stars and scrubs, this field. It's like so top heavy. I think we have, 5 of the top 10 players in the world, like 10 of the top 25, something like that. And when you start to go build lineups and start to really get into this, you're going to notice it's very difficult because I feel like the 8,000 range is kind of just trash. I feel like you just go off a cliff after the high 9s or mid 9s. And then it's just, so I'm not, and I'll also tell you right now, I'm just not super excited for this tournament. I don't know if I'm just kind of getting a little bit of golf hangover. It's been a lot of golf, and the RBC Canadian Open for me is not really doing it. Probably also I got to travel, so I'm not going to be able to watch it that closely. So Neither here or there, though. I did put my time in. I am going to play some DFS. I'm a little more heavier on the betting side for this because I do think that maybe there's a possibility because if you look at the 156 players, a little bit on the odd side that there's really, 10 elite, and then you've got another 145. Let's just say skim that down to around 30, 40 guys that also have a chance outside of the top 10 is where I guess I'm going with that. All right. I don't think I need to sell you on Scotty Scheffler. He's never played an RBC Canadian Open, but since he's been on tour, it's not been there. I mean, he had the Palmetto, and then I think it was just nothing. But the guy's just elite. No issues with him. If he hits the fairways, he'll be fine, and he'll probably club down and get that number up. So you could definitely go with Scotty. Right now, he's coming in projected ownership at 15%. Now, I've already taken a quick look over at projected ownership, and I think a lot of other people might be having a bit of a hangover because right now on Tuesday afternoon, there's not that many lineups have been generated. So this data will change. I'm guessing more will be done, of course, tonight and Wednesday, but I'll be shocked if, like I said, it might be some of the contests might not even fill. It wouldn't shock me. Also, you got the U.S. Open coming around the back. People might want to save a few dollars for that. The next guy you come to is Justin Thomas. Of course, he missed a Charles Schwab. Kind of call that. I mean, that's pretty hard to go through what he did at the PGA, coming back at a very tough 4 days, going to a playoff. I mean, it was a 1-hole play, or wait, take that back. 3-hole playoff against Will Z and win that and think that he was going to be mentally ready to go play the Charles Schwab. Even Will Z, right? I think if I remember correctly, missed that cut. Mito did make the cut because I was fading those top 3. And so I was 2 out of 3 on it. But I'm kind of going with out of this range of 10,000, 11,000, there's only one. I'm going to go with 2 guys for me, and it's going to be Rory and Lowry. And there's a couple of reasons. Rory, I feel like he's going to want to go in. I mean, technically, he's the defending champion. He's been in, amazing form. Yes, he played in Memorial. Wasn't that, amazing? But he's kind of stated for whatever reason that course, he kind of has a love-hate relationship with it. But I think, if he even comes close to form here, he could just tear it apart. And of course, you can see here the win in 2019. So I'm going to go kind of with Rory. And, kind of shockingly, I am going to skip out on Cam Smith here. I'm just a little worried about what's been going on with the driver. And that's always a concern with him. But his putter, too, not saying that it's terrible by any stretch. I mean, we know he's one of the best putters on tour. But he's just not making the putts that he typically does. I'm actually kind of shocked that he's playing this an event, but neither here or there. So I'm skipping, which is very rare, and I'm going to go to Shane Lowry. Now, a lot of it's pricing too, right? I mean, and this is from a DFS GPP perspective that, I understand when you're trying to build a roster, you can't just load up. Like you could pick one, you could pick 2 of these guys together, but it's going to be a little harder to kind of, feel good about the next 4 picks. So you could start your builds with either or you could get a little nutty. And then, of course, Shane, I think of Shane Lowry, of course, his history at the RBC Heritage has been really good. He should have won it this year, but just kind of fell apart on that par 3. And, yeah, I mean, I'll go click on him for you. I'll click on Rory, too, so you can see. But pretty accurate, still got some pop in the back, gains on bent. Also, there is some wind coming, so we know we can handle the wind and crappy conditions and just tough events. Just wanted to scroll through. Let me just specifically pull up RBC. We'll make that the main one. But you can see a third, a ninth. I mean, he's done very well at Harbor Town. And that's, the number one thing. I think, other people are kind of also talking about CT Pan, who is a past winner there and has been playing decent golf. He's not going to make my top 15. Will I ever use him? Yeah, I might sprinkle, but I also honestly do not know. I might max out at 10 lineups for the big game for this one for me. And I don't know, maybe put a single entry or 2. But like I said, my DFS will be probably more focused on Showdown than it will be on the 4-day Classic. All right. Oh, and I said I'd click on Rory for you. Let me do that real fast. All right. So he gains, we all know he's got super distance. Pretty accurate. His driver's been a little better this year. He does gain on bent slightly. POA is his best. And again, I keep hearing conflicts that it's POA greens. It's not POA greens. Unless literally the course superintendent doesn't know what kind of greens he has, it is a bent grass green. Now, I have no reason why they would have put POA trivials on top. Up in this area in the Midwest and upper, bent grass is typically what we grow. So that's that. All right. I'm just clicking. I'm just curious. So he played the RBC once. Let me click through a couple of these. I don't know if he played the Charles. Doesn't play the Charles, if I could spell right. Played the Schwab once. Just trying to see if anything sticks out from the courses. There's the Honda. He won way back. I never even thought about. He's done pretty well at PGA National. I brought that into on some of my stuff just to check out. Anyways, I don't think I have to sell you on Rory. I'll spend a little more time maybe on the guys lower. Sammy Burns. So really, I'm kind of going against my grade. I mean, usually I would go Smith, Burns. Burns coming off the win. Again, kind of shocked he's playing here. I do like he didn't play. I will say there's also a thought I had that kind of fading the guys that had to play the Memorial, do the travel. I feel like the guys that had the week off. I mean, if you've ever played 4 or 5 days of straight golf and then have to go back out in a couple of days, like I don't care. These guys are athletes, yes, but that's a lot. They also got to do the Pro-Am, and then they got to, go play their practice rounds. Like they really, if you go back-to-back tournaments, you don't have a break. So, I might look at some of that to build a lineup or two to kind of skip the guys that played the Memorial, go with the guys that had at least a week or two break. But of course, I mean, you could also state, hey, they're running hot. But you can see the fairways gain, really didn't affect him amazing at the Colonial, but it was a bit of an issue earlier tournaments. So I kind of, like I said, just kind of go, I'm going to go back because I feel like, but I mean, even right now, projected ownership's not telling me this, but I think Fitzpatrick and Lowry are my favorites to start a build with. I think everything I've seen from the wind and, but I kind of thought the Memorial would work out really well for Fitzpatrick. He missed the cut. He just had a horrible putting outing for him. And that's, I can go click on him. We'll take a look here. Of course, very accurate. Again, drives about 300. Not really worried about distance. I'm a little more worried about accuracy. Yeah. 7.6. He lost 7.5 strokes putting. I wanted to see his worst. Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that when I was picking up last time. Both times at the Memorials where he's had his worst putting rounds ever. So put that in the old bank when we think about the Memorial and Mr. Fitzpatrick, that he does not do so well on those 13.5, 14, crazy slopey bent greens. Now, yes, I did mention these are bent, but they're not going to have nowhere near the pace or the slope. So we should not have the issues with that. Harold Varner, he's had a great run at RBC. He's just been playing really good golf. Yes, he fell apart at Charles Schwab, but was right up there with a chance to win. Same thing at the RBC. I mean, his game, whatever it is, you can see what he's done here in the past at the RBC at other tracks. I just like Harold Varner. I already told you I bet him, 40-1. Now, the putter is, ultimately what's going to be his downfall. But everything else I feel very comfortable with. And I don't think I need to sell you on him. Corey Connors, there's the flip side of this is probably the best Canadian golfer that Canada has right now. Probably feels a little bit of weight, right? Like I said, he's only got the one win at Valero. But, I mean, this should suit him fine. And the putter has actually not been too bad. And we can see his history at this event. Of course, some of this might have been his amateur. He's only made the cut once. So there, that's kind of interesting. But I'm not really going to go off that. I mean, a guy does the skill set of what I'm looking for. And so if you look at the putter, he's lost a little bit over the last couple events, but it's also gained a little bit. So he's kind of a wash. I just feel like he's been a little better with the putter. If the irons do what he can do, and I know he's going to hit fairways, just need a decent putter. I don't need him to gain 3 strokes, but, be neutral, gain a half against the field, and he should be right up there. Terrell Hatton, I thought a bit about. I feel like Terrell Hatton I might bet him, depending on I don't know where his odds are now, but I might throw a quick bet. Something makes me think that Terrell Hatton could do pretty well here. Funny enough, if you go off last year's RBC, which was Palmetto, I think he came, second or third, something like that, which has nothing to do with this. I mean, just if you look, I don't even think they don't even consider that. But you can see out of the field over the last 6 events, the putter's been, doing well. He's got amazing irons. The fairways gained is what really made me nervous. And typically, of course, his frustration level. So I'm going to pass on him. I think Tony Finau, is a pretty interesting play. Now, I didn't pick him, but he's been playing a little better golf. It's going to be the putter, as we always say, but in the wind, he's a really good wind player. He's got that low fade ball flight. And I think, he'll have to club down in certain areas. So if the putter goes, I will, out of my 10 lineups that I put in, I'm going to sprinkle a Finau in there. Let me go click on. I just want to see for you. So you see, pretty accurate. Of course, we know he's got, so bent out of all the surfaces is actually a positive surface for him over the last 12 months. And you can see the putter has actually been gaining, which I didn't know that. So I'm glad that I looked at this for us. And that's bent and bent. And I think even with the Wells Fargo, that was bent at Potomac. I hate saying that. I don't know why, but Avondale Farms. So yeah, I mean, I have no issues of throwing a Tony in there. Again, from a betting side, I felt like his odds were just not good. So I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go with my boy Adam Hadwin instead, though. Been playing good golf. Of course, he had a 6 at the one that Rory won at Hamilton. Again, right where with Corey. I think this should set up. I mean, he hits fairways. He's not super long, but he has a really good short game. You see accurate 65%. Gains with the putter. Bents his better surface. Let's just go take a look here. So Valspar, you got the Fortinet, the Amex. I look at it as a smaller track. Rocket Mortgage is bent greens. 3M's bent greens. Charles Schwab, that's bent. There's 3M again. So let's see what the says. So it's Poe at the Hamilton. So that's funny. Maybe that's where that's coming from. Anyways, so I like Hadwin. Again, I'm kind of not going with my typical. I guess it's also really hard to pay. Now, this is where you can see literally like pretty much you get past, and I mean, to pay $9,400 for Finau is a little crazy, or $9,300 for Hadwin. I mean, you can see the clip, but when you see $9,200 for Munoz, that's where you know it is so top heavy. But Sebastian, I like him. Again, I'll probably play him more in a showdown, especially first. I'm going to bet him first round leader, depending if he's an early tee time. I have not looked at tee times yet, if they're out or not. But I'm going to skip to Chris Kirk. I've been kind of waiting for him to get a win. I think this is a great venue for him to do that. Again, the putter is what's all going to come down to, but everything else, I think it was what? I don't know if he's had one win at the RSM. Deutsche Bank. I mean, okay, he's got 2 wins. But the one that I think of is the RSM. But he's got a ton on that Wailea. I mean, you go through these courses, RSM. I wonder how he's done at RBC or if he's played in it much. So he had a 7th recently at RBC. So again, I mean, I think it's a good fit. It's a Chris Kirk should-be course. It's going to be what the putter does. I'll go to him, save $100. I mean, not, but I feel a little better than Munoz. You can also see Munoz hasn't had the greatest showings over the last couple. I mean, I'm more worried about the Colonial than I am the PGA. Of course, if this was going to be Shriners or just a scoring fest, I would go over Munoz. But because I know that you need to, be a little more tactical around here, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of drawing straws. It's just, yeah. All right, Killer Keith, 9,000. No, thank you. I think he could do fine here. Even his betting odds is, but I don't think this is a great Killer Keith course. I mean, for me, I guess you could make the correlation to Honda, but yeah, I don't know. Patrick Reed, I mean, of course, we know he changed his driver. I guess he's off PXG as far as I know completely. He, kind of stunk it up at the Memorial. That kind of burned me. I don't know. Again, to pay $9,000, I just can't do it. Rose is interesting. I feel like his game's a little bit better, but the driver I feel like has been a little wayward. And his putter just goes either super hot one round and then super cold. Sahith, of course, he had a T5. I think this is fool's gold. I'm going to pass on that. I'm not saying, but I'm not in it. I bet Jonathan Vegas 70-1. I mean, purely on, his past performance when he's in Canada. And I also want to see, I've stated that was his only 2 PGA wins. I just want to confirm that. No, I take that back. He also won the Amex way back in 2011. But I'm going to go to Mackenzie Hughes. I mean, and everything here says, it's not a model pick by any stretch. It is, hey, you've done pretty well when you're in Canada, you're Canadian, and he had a pretty decent showing. Of course, here recently, kind of fell apart, I think, on the weekend, but he was, making some waves. I just want to look. Off the tee has been trash. I always call him like a cheap Cam Smith. You know, typically really good with the putter, good around the green. It's the driver. I mean, what makes Cam Smith different now is his irons are way better than Mackenzie Hughes. Let's just go see. Of course, he's got the win at the RSM. Again, the RSM he had a second, the Honda. So a lot of correlation courses that I like to see. Got the Schwabe in there. Got Pebble Beach. So yeah, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to kind of, you know, go with some Canadians. Just kind of the thing I'm going to do is Canadian event. Why not? I do the same thing when I go to Mexico. Rasmus Højgaard, you know, he's actually played pretty well. Let's see here. So not too bad here. And he's also played, I always get him and his brother Nikolai, I think it is, messed up. But yeah, no, I'm just going to pass. I'm going to go with Todd. You know, I don't know if I picked it for the Schwab, but I should have. And shame on me because I think it's the same exact skill set. And a little bit was his putter wasn't, you know, as hot early on this year. So let's go take a look at this real quick with Mr. Todd. We already know, you know, not very long, but crazy accurate. You see Ben is almost, you know, next to Bermuda. He's one of his better surfaces. When he had his little spell, so his irons and off the tee was disastrous here. But he's kind of picked that up. The irons are kind of back. He's putting again, and he's kind of doing what Brendan Todd does. 8,200, I mean, I don't love it, but getting a guy that, you know, should fit this course perfect, and also the crazy weather, well, not crazy, but there is going to be some weather. At least that's what's showing out on a Tuesday. Yeah, I'm going to play some Todd. I also need to look at betting him. I haven't even looked at what his odds are, but I've not bet him. TT Pen, no issues whatsoever. I'm going to go with Todd. That's just where I'm kind of landing, but I, you know, have no problems with that. Aaron Rye, I think everybody just keeps, you know, off that good showing at Torrey. You know, even me, I've picked him some, but he just hasn't done enough. Wouldn't be a shocker that he would show up here. 7,900 for Hubbard, where you're typically getting him in the 6,000 range. Cameron Champ, I've actually bet him. Now, I tell you guys, every year, Cameron Champ typically gets his win. I mean, it's just year after year. He's going to get that one win. It's going to be a bit out of nowhere. And if you think about the 3M Open, it's not too different. Also, I think he won at the Travelers, if I remember correctly. It's Fortinet, which we used to be the Safeway. So my bad. But the 3M that's bent, Saracen Farms, you know, that's Bermuda. It's a longer track. Pretty good showing at RSM. This is where he had, you know, gained with the putter at the John Deere. And the next tournament was the 3M that he played in and won. And that's what kind of, he had like miscuts after miscuts before playing into John Deere, and then boom. So I'm just saying that I think it's a good bet. I don't know if I'll play him from a DFS perspective, but I like the bet. I almost got him like on the Max Homa, you know, you get him at like 100 to 1. I'm not sure what his odds are off the top of my head, but you're getting pretty good odds still on him. And he's going to get typically that one win per year. Adam Long, I like Adam Long here. I was just seeing if he ever played in Canada. You know, he's had some teens here. The RBC had a nice showing. Again, I like what he does from his game perspective. Just solid. He's not long, even though his name is Adam Long, but very accurate. Bench sand is his worst surface, but he's typically a pretty good putter. You see that right here. You know, he's not going to gain 10 strokes or 8 strokes or 5 strokes, but what's his best putting outing ever? He gained 7 strokes at the RSM not too long ago. Then that was Ben. He gained 5 in 2021. So he can do it a bit with the putter. But I go with Patrick Rogers too, right? I mean, you got to, I always think he's a Canadian. Reminds me of Sloan, Roger Sloan. He's not a Canadian, right? What he played at Stanford. Kind of due for that win. Let me see here. I don't think he has a win, if I remember correctly. Nope. He's got a lot of seconds. And all his seconds are on the courses that I like. The Travelers, the John Deere, the RSM. I have to look at him from a betting perspective too. Might be an interesting play, but I like Patrick Rogers, so I'm putting him in. You know, JJ Spawn was in my top 15, and then I just didn't end up there. I don't think it's bad. I mean, maybe, I don't know what the withdrawal was from. Maybe it could have been purely he was so out of it at the Charles Schwab, he just said, you know, no thank you. Of course, he had the win at the Valero, and it hasn't been as good, but what he does is what this course asks. You know, he pretty accurate with the irons, pretty accurate off the tee. Let's see how he putts on bent. not so good. You can see the putter's kind of faded off a bit. His win, he gained 3 strokes at the Valero. He showed up at the Arnold Palmer with the putter. So, yeah, it's kind of Jekyll or Hyde right now with him. I'm off. I'm going to go with Nick Taylor. Of course, his win at Pebble Beach. There's some correlation, right? Small greens. You know, you don't have the trees all over the place. But he had that showing also at Avondale Farms, which I think is a good comparable. Of course, he's a Canadian. And, you know, done okay in this tournament. Told you guys I'm kind of going to do the Canadian thing. That's just where I'm at this point. Let's see where he's done his best. So, again, I mentioned Pebble Beach. He's also got a win at, that's odd, at Sanderson Farms. I did not remember that. Trying to see. He's done okay at the Wyndham. There's Pebble Beach again. The Sony at Wailea. There's the Honda. So, yeah, I'm going to play some Nick Taylor. All right, I'm going to kind of move through these guys. Pat Perez, not a terrible idea. He's been playing pretty decent golf. You know, definitely has that hot round or two. So I wouldn't mind him, but, you know, not making my top 15 for Telly. His one win is at the John Deere, which is a great comparable course. I don't think he has another win. Let me just verify that. No, his next showing was the Open, which out of nowhere, right? Then they had that Fall Masters again, kind of out of nowhere. That's an 8th RBC. It's done okay at the Honda. There's TPC Twin Cities for the 3M. So, not terrible, but yeah, no. This is the issue right here for me. You guys already know I'm going to play Smotherman, still 7,500. For this field, I think that's good. You're getting a really elite ball striker. You know, it can be pretty rough at times with the short game, but you can see the putter's getting a little better. You can see made, you know, last 5 cuts. Of course, never played here. Rookie off the Corn Ferry. Pretty accurate off the tee. And the putter has been, hence, you know, some top 25s. Been getting a little better. Best so far at the PGA was, of course, where he kind of came onto my radar was at Torrey Pines. Tyler Duncan, no issues. You know, you can see, short game, putter, terrible. I'm going to go with Party Marty. He actually hit the ball really well at the Memorial. It was up there in the ball striking. It was, the putter was just a disaster. And you can kind of see that right here. So over the 4, it kind of faded a little bit, but he was gaining off the tee, gaining on approach. He just couldn't putt. Of course, he won a putting contest at the Shriners. His last win, you got Valero. Not really a good corollary. There's Canadian Open, way back 2016. He's got a 2nd. There you go. That would be, I think, at Glen Abbey. Mr. Vegas done all his damage. All right, so I like Party Marty. He's getting plugged in. I thought about Smalley, but I went with Party Marty. Go with a little experience. I told you Matty Wallace did have a decent showing over in Europe. He was leading, I think, going into Sunday, and it kind of fell apart. Not for me, but I think he also, let me go click on this. Why do I remember that he had a good showing, I feel like, at RBC? Okay, in 18th. So that's not too long ago. I'm pretty shocked that my memory actually remembers that. I remember Valero where he had a chance to win and then fell apart. Of course, he did nothing in Texas this year. Danny Willett, just not my bread and butter, just period. I mean, you can see he had a T8. No reason. I mean, I'm actually going to go with Emiliano Grillo. I like Emiliano. I've been kind of waiting on him, and it feels like he's getting his game back to some degree. You can see a while ago he had okay. But the guy's typically was a ball striking master. It was just a little bit like, well, a lot of these guys, you just have no idea if they're going to get putt luck or not. So you can see, you know, he started gaining a little bit with the putter, lost a little bit. The irons have come back a little bit, but he's gaining off the tee. Typically, he is pretty accurate. And at one time, like I said, was pretty elite with the irons. You can see he had a good showing at the RBC the previous year. So great showing, 3M. Charles Schwab. Like I said, this should fit him. It's all what he plays, you know, of course. So I'm going to go with Grillo. I don't think John Hahn's, you know, that bad of a play, right? I mean, he had that 12th here at Colonial recently. I just don't know if that was like a one-shot. Lipsky's been showing up more. Again, not a bad, because sprinkle him in. You know, Stefan Jaeger showed up at the Avondale Farms, Wells Fargo. All right, I'm going to kind of move through these. Ryan Armour shows up, but you can see kind of some miscuts there. I mean, it kind of fits his profile if you're going to go that route, but I'm going to skip that. think I saw Joseph Bramlett actually qualified for the U.S. Open and his wherever he did it at. I don't even know. I just saw him talking about it. So not playing terrible golf. But no, for me, I'm gonna go with Lashley. You know, I know where he's had his win was on bent greens. He showed up at Pebble Beach a couple times. Let's go click on Mr. Nate Lashley. I think bent is a positive putting. Nope, that's funny. His only win, but it shows up here over the last 12, not positive. But let's just see. All right, the Memorial gained almost a stroke and gained 6 at the that was what past Palm. So I mentioned, like I said, it gained almost 10 strokes on bent greens at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit. I'm just seeing what else pops up here. Where's the AT&T? There it is. That was like the last good showing that I remember. Of course, I mean, the vacation swing before that. You got the waste management. So we'll see. But I like his game. Usually pretty solid irons, pretty accurate off the tee. Again, it comes down to can the putter get hot, and it has gotten putt on bent before. So I'm going to lean that way. All right, I'm going to mix down, of course, Adam Svensson. Told you guys I bet him. I think it was, what, 250 to 1. I also bet him top 10. Another elite ball striker, Canadian, just a horrific putter at times. I went through, you know, he's had a good showings. I'll pull it up again so you can see, but his best showings have been on some of these comparable courses. Come on. All right, so the Sony Open at Wailea, just the putter let him down at the end, but he would have been right there. Could have got maybe in that playoff, possibly. Could have caught Henley. You got the Honda PGA National. You got TPC Twin Cities at the 3M Open, and then the John Deere bent greens. This is not his first go around. I mentioned that when he got his card back, that, you know, he was on the tour, lost it, went back, got it at the Corn Ferry. So I like him. I probably have a little bit of a sweet spot for him too. He's helped me out on some showdown plays. He can, you know, have that one really good round. Doug Gim, right? He pops here and there. I'm just going to save him for the players. Pretty much where I'm going to play Doug Gim. And let's see, I'm just seeing if there's anybody else here that I have for you guys. Oh, Satoshi Kodaira is my guy. Again, maybe it's kind of that first round leader. I've hit him a couple times, but been playing a little better golf. You know, he can get crazy helping you see. Doesn't drive it long, but very accurate. And can get very streaky with that putter, as you see here at the Mexico Open recently. Let's just see where he's had some of his showing. Oh, yeah. And I blanked on this. So, like CT Pan, right, one of the first-time winners. He also won at the Heritage. I mean, it's so long ago. I'm not really counting it, but showed up at Avondale Farms here recently. Had a good showing at the Sony Open at Wailea. The Mexico Open, I don't really care so much about that. There's the Palmetto, the RBC Canadian Open, not in Canada. All right, so I like Satoshi. He's going to be one of my cheapies, and I'm going to fly through because it is so much trash down here. Danny Lee's the next guy that I'm going with. You can see, funny enough, he's, at least what I see here, he's never missed a cut when he played in the RBC Canadian Open. All right, he's what, New Zealand, if I remember right? And then moved to Texas, I think, is where he lives now, but originally a New Zealander. So kind of accurate. Usually I consider you got to be over 60% to call you accurate, but see what he's been doing recently here. So not too bad, the Colonial. Funny enough, so that's kind of odd, right? I mean, some tough tracks. He makes cuts. Did miss a cut there. Let's go see. So Greenbrier's got a win. That's old TPCY. I think that's an excellent comparable course, but they don't play there anymore. It's been a while. I mean, that's 2015. That's so long ago. There's the Travelers, not as far. The John Deere. I mean, I don't know. I like him. It's kind of where we're going. He also, I think I showed you, qualified here recently for the U.S. Open. And is there anybody else below that I picked? Oh, Roger Sloan, purely a Canadian play. You can see he's done okay at the RBC Canadian Open. I mean, that I've got nothing else from a statistical side. I mean, he does gain on bent. You know, not bad off the tee. Very hit or miss with the irons. You can see the putter is just could be just ultimate trash. Let me click on him. The Wyndham, I wouldn't, whatever. There's a John Deere. You could kind of put something on that. The 3M Open, he's had a couple good showings. The John Deere again. So a lot of bent. So that's kind of funny. For whatever reason, if he does gain, it's on bent. So, you know, you could try to go with that. I think that's as low as I go. I should look at, that's my FOMO bet. I did not bet him, but yeah, this could be a track that he could at least make the cut. So I'll give him a notable mention, Jim Herman. All right, let's go look real quick at ownership projections. Well, let's go do weather first, real fast. All right, so I mentioned it's Tuesday afternoon Eastern time. So I wanted to show you, right? So there's going to be some rain. So the course is going to get a little softer, a little wetter, but, also the rough is going to get a little crazier. And, I don't know if they're trying to give these guys a little bit like U.S. Open conditions, but I did mention it's 3.5 inches is what I got on Monday. So let's go right to Thursday. So here we go. So, the morning is saying possible rain. You're going to have gusts up to 25, staying around 13. Lake Ontario is not really far away. If you were curious, I don't know, let's go to this. I can show you on the map where this place is at. It's right between Mississauga and Toronto. It's right about here is where this event's being planned. I'm just showing you so you can see, it's not on the water, but it's pretty close. Oops. We'll get to ownership projections in a second. Long story short, you're going to want to use Windfighter. You're going to want to pull up this Centennial Park, and I'm going to mess this up, but we'll just call it Etobicoke. I don't know. Anyways, we'll call it Mississauga. I know how to pronounce that one. But yeah, so you're going to see again some wind, some rain, again some rain. So again, this is early on, but just keep an eye on the weather. It looks like weather is going to have some focus. So that skewed me a hair, like with the Lowrys. I think Finau, though, could be a good play in that. So yeah, just check that out. All right, if you want to get a quick understanding of where the ownership lies at this exact moment, I told you the generated lineups, I usually like to see around 5,000, and that has not happened yet. So we don't have, we got some favorite players, but that means really nothing because even I'll click on a bunch of guys just to go into ownership projections. But this is with the number that will kind of tell you, but just so you get an understanding. Right now, Rory's the chalkiest. Of course, one of my picks, CT Pan, I mentioned, I think he's going to be pretty highly owned. Corey Connors is next. You got Aaron Rye. You got Fitzy up there. You got JT, Lipsky, Scheffler. You got Vonner's up there. But the top guys, you can see right here, Fitzy, Ray, Connors. At least, again, this is right now. Let's go look at some of the guys that I have that is really low. So Griot will be a pivot. Kadir, still at 4% though, which is kind of crazy. I would not expect that. Sloan, less than 1% owned. Yeah, Fabian Gomez would draw if you gave a crap. Also, Taylor Pendrith pulled out. I guess his ribs are not feeling as good. That's probably good because, what I started to read was that he was just starting to hit some irons, like some pitching wedges and whatever. It was kind of stepping up his practice. And I think he got to we'll just say his, hybrids and whatever. And it was woods maybe. And it was like, nope, this is not going to happen. So it's going to be a while since we totally see Taylor Pendrith. I was kind of excited to see him here. I'm going to work my way up because I want to see the guys that I picked, where their ownership. So I mentioned Sadoshi, Griot. So Danny Lee, is less, around 5. Hardy Marty. Got Nate Lashley, Long. Where's Brendan Todd falling in? So less than 10%, but again, like I said, so early. But I just wanted to give you a quick look. I feel bad that, you're not going to get the Before the Lock show, but I will be on a plane tomorrow. So we'll not be able to do that. Okay. With that said, let's go wrap this up for you guys. Okay, so my top 5, my Fab 5 picks for the RBC Canadian Open is as follows. Going to go with Rory leading off. Of course, we got Corey Connors, a Canadian. Hopefully he can do something there in Canada and get his second win. Got a bit of weather, it looks like. And of course, Lowry's just solid. Been playing amazing golf, so I'm going to stick with that. HV3, this is just a lot of the RBC comps. He's been playing good golf. And he's due for a PGA Tour actual win, but this would make total sense that it'd be over in Canada. And then Fitzpatrick. So you got, he needs a first-time win on the PGA Tour. I don't even think Lowry's actually won on the PGA Tour. I mean, he's, of course, won the Open. I'd have to go verify that, but I know he's won over in Europe. So you got a couple could be first-time PGA Tour winners here. And then on deck coming in, we're going to go another Canadian, Adam Hadwin. Chris Kirk should be a good fit. Hopefully the putter works. Brendan Todd, I mean, to see what he did at the Schwabe, it's a perfect, comp course for this as far as I'm concerned. So hopefully that stays going. Mac Hughes, just going again with, hey, you're over in Canada. Hopefully all works out as usual. And then you got Mr. Patrick Rogers there. Hopefully his game holds. That's going to be my mid-5. And then on song, I'm going to go with another Canadian, Nick Taylor. We're going to go with Party Marty. You got Grio, where his game's showing up a little bit. Hopefully Party Marty Laird's a putter works. Austin Smotherman, I'm just going to keep playing him until he cracks through and gets us at least like a top 5, and then his pricing goes way up. And Adam Long, 2 really good ball strikers. Just going to need the short game to kick in for those guys. And then Nick Taylor, of course, won at Pebble Beach. And it's not a terrible comp with these small greens and shorter field. All right, if you want to know who I'm playing from a cheapie perspective, I'm going to go with Adam Svensson. Of course, another Canadian leading off. Amazing ball striker. Could be a horrific putter at times. Nate Lashley, same thing. Good ball striker. For the price tag, got Danny Lee, the New Zealand that now lives in Texas. We're going to go with him. Satoshi Gidai, a little bit of a crazy pick, but I've seen a guy get nuclear hot and does have a win at the RBC Heritage a long time ago. And last but not least, end it all up with a Canadian, Mr. Roger Sloan, who hasn't been playing the greatest golf, but has shown up here. And I do believe also gains on bent greens, if I remember correctly from what we looked at. Lastly, one and done. If you are interested in who I'm thinking about from a one and done perspective, of course, you could use Rory. I don't know if I'd want to use him here, but I don't know, whatever. I mean, he's probably, I would guess in your one and done, he's been used already, and so he could be a differentiator for you. I've already burned Corey Connors. I think I used him at a Valero, and I don't think he might have made the cut. He was trash. I'm going to save Lowry right now. Terrell Hatton, I think is interesting. HV3. So the guys that I have available that I'm looking at, I got Hadwin, HV3. I already use Fee now, so he's not in here, but you could use him too. Fitzmagic, I believe I already used him. Brendan Todd's available. So Brendan Todd's here. If you want to, kind of shake things up, don't feel like burning a good guy or, a top 25 player. You want to save that for the FedEx Cup. Got 2 more majors coming. I understand that. I'm still saving Justin Thomas for that. So here's the group of guys. And like I said, for me, I've been in between HV3, Terrell Hatton, and I think I even thought of Adam Hadwin, and maybe even Lowry. Or did I use Lowry? I don't even remember now. But here's the guys that I'm looking at. But like I said, some already burned for me. And like I said, I think I always give you that kind of, sleeper one and done, I think would be Brendan Todd. All right, with that said, that is my shows. This is all you're getting for the RBC Canadian Open for me. Of course, I'll be back next week and with all the coverage for the US Open. Like I said, for me, it kind of feels like a little bit of a down week. Probably, again, I'm traveling and, it's the RBC Canadian Open. If you do me the honor, click that like button, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and tell me, hey, who do you think is going to win the US Open? Get yourself in that $100 giveaway. Last but not least, follow me on Twitter at DFS Golf Guru. I will always share anything that you need to know. Of course, I'm always tweeting out there anything else from a golf perspective, but why I would be most interested to follow me is I keep my eye very close on the PGA Tour communications, and I always do the get up earlys and make sure that we don't miss on any withdrawals or any of that stuff. All right, guys. Hey, have a great RBC Canadian Open. Enjoy the golf. I will get to watch a little bit of it, but like I said, I'll be traveling. Talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend.